right. Hey guys, I'm Mercedes and I am here with Paige or gosh, Paige, what is your title?
My technical title is social media coordinator and content creator.
Okay, yes, content creator extraordinaire. I'm technically the director of training and strategic growth for Smiley. Paige and I want to talk about a phenomenal training we had recently with Julie Horne. And for those of you that don't know her, she is a literal world-renowned lip injector, the goat of lip filler, the lip queen, all the fancy things you want to call her. That is her from Norway. We had the really fortunate opportunity for Mary and Julie to connect and partner, and now we have this great partnership going. And so we just kind of want to take a look back and talk about what went into preparing for the trainings and maybe what we can do to I don't know, make it better next time because we know we're definitely going to be doing it again. So, how long ago did we start actually working on this page? Was this the end of last year?
Yeah, I want to say maybe like November is when
Yeah.
things kind of started falling into place. And we started working on, getting like dates nailed down, getting some webinars in the works, kind of just figuring out a plan, which, involves, they're obviously across the world. So it takes a lot of communication to get to this point that we've gotten to. So I think both sides are pretty proud of what we've accomplished. Um,
Yes, for sure. Especially
but
they their time zone being so different. All of
yeah,
our meetings were at the end of our workday or the end of their workday or bright and early. Yeah.
but so it's definitely I feel like this is one of the first times that I've done some long project with, someone outside of our company, um, marketing wise, and also just as a partner with our company. It kind of took like the marketing, the clinical, like all sides of our company to get this going. So it's definitely like a team contribution from everybody. But I think, yeah, at the end of last year, we started talking about webinars, trying to kind of get a game plan in and making sure everything was set up, trying to figure out, what exactly we wanted to do with this. And then we started kind of introducing the balm into our
Yeah.
med spas, and just becoming more educated on Julie Horne, her technique, her balm, all of that stuff. So it's been exciting, I think, for everyone.
So, can I say something really quick about the bomb?
Yes.
I Julie didn't ask me, or I would have said it to her face, but I would say this to her face. I was honestly slightly skeptical. Like, it's not that I didn't think that it worked. There's a lot of stuff out there. And so I was a model at the Julie Horn training on Saturday. So today's Thursday. And on Saturday night, well, first off, I didn't know I was going to be a model. So I took ibuprofen 15 minutes or 30 minutes before I got injected. So to say that I had bruises, um, is light, and I explicitly like only used the Julie Horn balm, and I would say, I mean, like now I have no bruising at all,
Look at
but
those
even
lips.
by right, they're still really big, guys, really big. But by Tuesday, my husband was like, "Oh wow," and he's a guy like he doesn't know. He said your lip color is really even. And I was like, oh, like the gloss that I put on? He's like, no, no, like you're like bruising, like it's gone. So I have to say, very, very impressed. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I mean, 3 days, and my bruises were completely healed. So the balm is absolutely it's worth it and it works.
Also, if a man notices that says a lot.
All right. Yeah. Yes, because he was a little scared when I first came home on Saturday.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
so they look bad. But yeah, so we introduced the balm and um I interrupted you, sorry.
No, you're good. I think we could go a little bit into why we wanted to do this partnership and from your side clinically, like what her technique can bring to injectors. And then, we wanted to bring this not just to our providers into Smiley Aesthetics, but be able to offer it to other people to be able to access and train with her because that's kind of all that Smiley's about. So I thought you could kind of go into that.
Yeah, I mean, for me as an injector and just a clinical nerd in general, Julie has been partnering with Sebastian Cotofana. So for those that don't know him, he is an anatomist that specializes in aesthetics. So the work that they've been doing together, they've come out with an amazing um, study that was published that shows the amount of tubercles in our lips, that they're a lot more than we thought they originally were. And it kind of just changed the game for how injecting, can be done. And truly, like the Julie Horne technique, I mean, 5 years ago, she was incredible and was still the goat of lip filler then, but her technique is different today because of that research that they've done. So it brings a couple of things. It brings consistent, natural results for our clients. Um, of course, there's safety to it because, nobody wants to have adverse outcomes. And then also it's a lot of it is assessment. It's not just the injecting. It's let's assess this patient and make sure that they're a good candidate for what they want, and that it's realistic. And the most important part, and no one judge my lips right now, they are still swollen, natural. The idea from Julie Horn, her passion with lips is that they're natural and that nobody would ever know that you had lip filler. So I look forward to that day in about a week and a half or 2 weeks when my spelling finally goes down. So knowing that we were able to partner with the goat of a lip filler, and instead of going to Norway, her coming to us and being able to open the opportunity to everyone outside of Smiley, and then also just being able to hear really from her the work that her and Professor Codafana did on their study of the lips was absolutely incredible. I don't even know what you asked me anymore. Did I answer it?
Just about how Smiley, we wanted to bring this to train not only our providers, but be able to extend it
Yeah.
to injectors. We had people even come from out of the States. So I think that speaks a lot to who Julie Horn is. And they were all really, really excited to be there. And I think that's just, part of Smiley's mission, and what Mercedes does a lot with training is kind of setting a new standard for aesthetics and injecting, and that's what Julie Horn has done. So us being able to partner with her and bring her here and be able to, give the opportunity for people to come experience that firsthand, I think was a great opportunity, and also like ties into a lot of the purpose behind Smiley Sex training as a whole, and like why Mary and Carly even started this business in the first place.
Mhm. Yeah, you're so right because it is such a hard thing to break into, and there's so much gatekeeping, and often, trainings like this are, sometimes the people that are coming are pre-picked, and it's you can never get a spot. So it was nice to have this, and yeah, like you said, we had people from so we're in Tennessee, no, from California to New York, and then even people from Canada that like Canadian Canada
And
as an
Columbia.
observer.
Someone came from
Oh
Columbia.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was
so really
awesome.
international. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess a little bit about what we did for the training. We had hands-on injectors. So 10 injectors each got to inject a model and have Julie kind of beside them guiding through that, um, teaching as they go. And then we also had observer spots who, were there all day, got to watch it, hear everything. I think both of those seats were really valuable. And, we started the day with like a whole Julie going through her technique, anatomy,
Through her lecture.
yeah, the why behind everything. So it was very educational before any injecting was done, which, is a big part of our training, is that the why behind everything in the education is like one of the most important parts. Um, so I was lucky to be there both days, and I feel like I even learned a lot, and I'm not medical in the slightest. So
And to your point, how important the like why behind everything is in the paper that her and Professor Codafana um, completed recently, jaws dropped, you guys. Like we did things in this training that I have been teaching my trainings like not to do because it's been something that, we just didn't have enough information on, as far as safety goes. So she really opened the way for us to learn that we can get results in ways that we didn't think we could, but still safely.
Yeah,
But jaws dropped.
they were. There were moments where everyone was like, wow. Um, okay. And then I thought we could kind of, so we had 2 days of this, which, considering Julie flew across the world to be here, she got in, I think, on Friday, and then the training was on Saturday. So it was a little bit of a quick turnaround. And I think our whole team, learned a lot from day one versus day two, since this was our first time doing it. Um, I think day one, we got a little bit behind on time because, which isn't a bad thing for the people who were there, they got a lot out of it. But I think from day one to day two, we implemented a little bit more like operations of it to keep it flowing correctly and just keeping everyone on time, for to be mindful of the injectors, like the trainees' times, the models' times. So I think we learned a lot and we'll be able to take, a lot of those lessons into the next time Julie comes, which I think we're planning for maybe like late fall or beginning of next year, which is really exciting. Um,
Yeah, and I won't say that like we were cocky going into day one because we weren't, but we do trainings. Like that's what we do. I mean, last year alone, I myself led 68 trainings. So the day that happens and when things are laid out, that's just second nature for us. But I think what did catch us kind of off guard was, like Paige said, we did get a little bit behind. Um, but having more like designated people for each um, role that we normally do ourselves, maybe, I think is going to be super helpful next time, especially like coordinating with the models and once they arrive. I think that will be really good for something to implement next time.
yeah. And I think so now that we have gotten through this, we're probably going to get started prepping for the next time Julie comes and like some new webinars and stuff, which I think, makes us think back to, okay, how did we get here? What marketing went into it? What
Mhm.
Mercedes and operations and training all went into, getting this ready. And I can speak for marketing. I'll say, Julie Horne is a well-known name, so she kind of sells herself. But, being able to do these webinars where people can kind of see a glimpse of what they'll get to experience, in person, I think was a real way to, I guess, kind of like sell the in-person training. And, we did a lot of like collabs with her on social media, just really like educating all of people who don't know about her, like her technique, what makes her who she is,
Successful.
this world-known name. Um, so honestly, from my side, it was pretty easy because she just kind of sells herself.
She definitely
You look at her before and afters, and it's like, wow, um, it's crazy. So I think that alone was just wild. But I think like lessons learned going into the next training would be, we did like some bundles with including the webinar if you signed up, which I think was really great because people were, if they didn't get to catch the webinar, which I think happened in like January, they were able to watch, I think it was like a 3-hour webinar of Julie doing an entire facial assessment and injecting um, before they actually came to the training. So I think that gave a little bit of like, they're more able to know what to expect. And I think that also like gets them excited. Um, Kind of just like build a foundation before you come in. So I think that's definitely something we'll implement for the next go round.
I'm glad that you said that because I did have a lot of people, because we did sell some initially when we first started that didn't include the webinar. We actually had two of them. You're right. We had one in January, but we also had one in April. And so in between that time, there were a lot of spots sold that didn't include the webinar initially. But all the attendees emailed and wanted to know the same thing. Do we need to prepare? Do I need to watch or read something ahead of time? As healthcare professionals, we want to make sure that, like Paige said, we had that foundation built so we feel prepared when we come. and we're not totally lost. So yes, I love the idea of making sure that we add that to every spot next year or next training.
Yeah. And then I guess I'm curious from your clinical side and, that you spearhead all of our training, um, like what did you take away from like what were the big things you took away as an injector and then also as like a trainer? And like for the trainees, is there something you really wanted them to take out of it or just kind of what your thoughts are on all that?
I would say the biggest thing that I took away as an injector, honestly, was it just kind of confirmed what I have always felt. So this is my 15th year as a nurse, and I've always said that as a healthcare practitioner, if a patient comes to you and says, "Hey, my toes are pink and I've been taking clindamycin, so clindamycin turned my toes pink," who are we to say no until we rule out every possible option? So my point being, she's doing things in lips that we never thought that we would do or should do or could do. And so just being open to like changes in research and technique that comes from that. So that was just so exciting, so exciting for me. And then the biggest thing that I wanted our the trainees that signed up to take away from this is the confidence that comes with being, most of them own their own med spa, but just that confidence of knowing that whatever lip comes in the door, you know that you can treat it because a lot of us are solo practitioners and we might have, another injector with us and we want to know that we can help our clients achieve the result that they want. So just that confidence and also fun. Julie is fun. Okay, she's
She
a hoot.
is.
Now, I wanted them to, get to experience the Julie that those that know her have got to see and just what a joy she is.
I also loved how Julie, obviously, there's a huge importance on education and assessing the patient, but she's very also focused on, building the confidence of the patient. And like her goal is not to change a client, her goal is to, enhance. And I think just watching her, even for me, I was like, the way she handles all of it is very inspiring. And I think that showed everyone that's like, there's so many different components to it, and she handles it all really well, and she's so fun. And she's all about, encouraging the confidence of the trainees and also the client. So yeah, I think there was just so many different aspects to learn from, um, you know, educationally injecting, like, and even just like the treatment of the client and encouraging, confidence.
And honestly, the fact that it doesn't matter how long you've been injecting. We had some trainees that have been injecting for 15 to 20 years, and they're still here learning from Julie. And I think the, quote unquote, like newest was about 8 months. So new to injecting, very experienced, it doesn't matter. There's still something you can learn. And we had several people that were repeat trainers with Julie.
Hmm.
And so, and that's kind of cool. It's not like it's always the same class, right? She
Yeah.
always has something new to bring from research that she's done. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I also liked how she really encouraged that, like, there's no dumb questions. Like, everyone is here to learn. She really was like, you're not here to impress me. Like, I'm here to impress you. You're supposed to learn,
Yeah.
like, from me. So I think, a lot of people really look up to her. And even me, I was like, I feel like someone's famous walking in the door. And, she kind of just completely, like, broke the ice. And, she's just very, like
Down
down
to
to earth.
earth and
Yeah,
humble.
really fun. Which I think just made everyone really comfortable. And it was just a great, I think, environment for people to learn. And I think also like in aesthetics, there's maybe like a stigma of like you should know everything maybe. And I think she kind of just like wipes that away, when she's always introducing new things, like there's always something to learn with her. And I think she just created like a great environment for people to be able to ask questions and like no matter what
Mhm.
stage you're at, there's always something to learn. And Yeah, I was just very impressed by her. And she's literally one of the funniest people I've ever met. So it was
Yes.
fun.
At one point, at one point she was like, and if your feet are uncomfortable, take your shoes off. And the sweet instructor from Columbia, she is like, my feet off right now. That's just
Yeah.
uncomfortable for me. I'm like, go for it, girl. She already said it.
Yeah. I think
It's
everyone ends up feeling like you're best friends with her, which is just like even from webinars, you can watch a lot of her stuff, but I think getting that in person um connection with her, you kind of really she's just someone that's like your friend immediately, which is such a blessing. And I think it's, a really rare opportunity for people in the States to get to experience that with her. Not many people can fly to Norway. So
Mm-mm. No,
um I think
no.
we're really happy we were able to bring that not only to like our employees, but to injectors, all over the States.
So from like an operational side, what do you think we did to make it not feel like just another training? Like, to make it more high level and um yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I've never been to a training.
Yes, you have. You were a model for me.
Okay, yes, but that was like a one-on-one, so I've never been to like
Yeah,
a
that's true.
class. So I don't really know much of the difference, but
I think from my perspective, I would say, and this like sounds really silly to even say this because why does this make an event high level? It doesn't. But like, we had a room block for everyone. So everyone could stay in the same hotel where the training was taking place, which was also kind of cool just because, we you can have that camaraderie before or after if you want. And then also, of course, there was, oh, I know the answer. So I was going to say, breakfast, lunch, but also the dinner, the intimate dinner
Mhm.
with Julie afterwards. And especially on Saturday night, having along with Julie, Lori Robertson made that a very high level event. That was huge.
Yeah. And I think it gave an opportunity for, everyone connect, like follow each other. It was a very, what's the word? Like just good for everyone to be able to connect and support each other. You know, I
The
think,
injecting world's hard.
yeah. And I think,
It's
everyone was very supportive of each other
yeah.
and making those connections with people who are across the country and being, we all like followed each other and we're all supporting each other. And so it was just a great environment. And I think Julie, I mean, and Smiley like really spearheaded making sure that environment was, enjoyable for everyone and everyone was comfortable and, ready to learn.
So we had to give advice to anyone planning a high level training event like this in the future. What would you say?
I don't know if you just heard that.
No.
Um, Sounded like a
Did
car
someone break
crash.
into your house?
Sorry. I would say that, we had a lot of having to adapt just because the time change. Um, there is a lot of adapting when you're trying to figure these things out with people across the world. But I mean, sorry, what was your question?
Like if there's somebody else who's planning a high level event or training event like this, what advice would you give them before they get started?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Um, Sorry. I guess I would say, we really wanted to make it like a good experience for everyone. Like you said, we were all in the same hotel, like we had little goodie bags for everyone. We wanted to make
That's
it,
right. The goodie
yeah,
bags were
we had
great.
like little skincare goodies for everyone. We also at the dinner had Galderma do a presentation about like Sculptra and, all of like wrestling, all their injectables. And then at the other dinner, we had Airy Essence come. So it was kind of like they had another element of being able to learn. Um, and I think just having, all of our employees being like open and ready to connect and really encouraging just like a safe space for everyone to learn, made it really great.
Yeah. I mean, I would say for me, anybody doing something like that is going to be, especially if you're doing it at a hotel. Most people probably are like, well, yeah, this is common sense, but like do a run through of the space that you're going to use, and like, do I have enough electrical outlets where I need them? Are we bringing new equipment, to like a tripod, or, a new way to a film that we don't usually do, and just making sure that you're familiar with all those things ahead of time so that there's no fooling around and, trying to mess with it in the moment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I guess that's the thing is like thinking of everything you possibly can just to make
yeah,
sure you're prepared. And I know, we went to the hotel days before to just make sure everything was set up and ready to go, instead of that stress of trying to do it, in the moment. And just kind of thinking of like even things you don't think you're gonna need, just having it just in case. We also had a photographer come on Monday to get really high quality photos, of the trainees injecting and like of their model before and afters. We also had certificates for everyone that, they can put in their med spa or at their desk, whatever. Um, so I think, adding in those little perks for them to be able to look at and take home even after the event, is great.
yeah, I forgot about that. Good. You have a good memory, Paige. I'm glad.
And I
I was
think that,
thinking,
them seeing is 10 models in a day is a lot. Even if you're not the one actually injecting them, I mean, you're right up there. So I think it wasn't like on a stage or anything. It was very personable. And you're right there hearing everything that people are asking Julie and all her answers. So
and honestly, just getting to learn from each other. So, like at Smiley, we do submucosal infiltrations of lidocaine. So it's not a dental block. Most, patients will ask, like, do you do dental block? And I'm like, well, no, but yes, right? Just because who the heck knows what a submucosal infiltration of lidocaine is. But there were a ton of injectors that came, outside of Smiley. They've never done that before, and that was something super cool for them to see. So even just getting to share knowledge for things that were, not necessarily related to the lip technique, but just for your client. So that was nice.
yeah.
I will say one thing. Don't laugh at me, Paige, but there were four of the no, five of the models were clients of mine, and all five of them, I was like, I think your lips way better this time than when I did them. But it was really just to see the transformation, and like I like the way that I do lips. I love the lips that I do. But to see that, just a couple of tweaks in a method can make such a big difference. Oh man, it just makes me so excited to get out there and start practicing what we learned.
Yeah. I'm excited to see. Yeah. I'm excited to see everyone's before and afters and really see this like what everyone learned be implemented. Not only in like our employees, but everyone else that came to the training. So it's exciting.
Yes, very much so. Well, any other big things that you wanted to talk about?
Um, I think we covered it all.
I think so too. And honestly, at this point, just super, super excited from the things that we did learn and what we can do to just make it, that much more smoothly go that much more smoothly next time. And super pumped to hear what dates we'll be able to get on a schedule for Julie for next. I mean,
Me too. Okay, thank you all for listening. Thanks,
thanks,
Mercedes.
guys. Oh, and we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the places you find podcasts. You can find us there.